What's up, Internet? My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clever.
This is our spoiler chat for episode 4 of Hawkeye. Hawkeye. Because we get nerdy nightly.
And we thought we'd share it with you.
That is right. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about episode 4, Partners. I can't remember the rest of the title.
That's the important part.
It's Partners something.
I never look at the episode titles, I'm not going to lie.
This is the best episode of the show yet. Let's talk about it.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, without a doubt. The emotional conflict was stronger. The emotional scenes was stronger. The fight choreography was better than any previous episode. The plot is starting to take shape and make make sense finally. Villains and the end game of this series finally make sense to me. This episode with on almost every level is a better episode. And we've been enjoying the show so far, but this was a much stronger episode of this show, in my opinion, than anything before it. I finally was like, oh, I get why they made this, watching this episode versus previous episodes, which were fun. Mm-hmm. This one, I was like, oh, I get why this is a TV show and why we spent this money to tell this story.
Okay. I think you might be a few steps ahead of me, because I'm still don't really know where we're going with this. But I enjoyed the episode. I thought that the scene with Clint and Kate, where she brings over the movies and they have movie night, I thought that was really well done. And yeah, definitely I thought the fight stuff at the end was great. Mm-hmm. But have absolutely no idea.
I mean, but Clint lays it out, right? Clint lays out quite directly that the purpose of this adventure that we're following is that he has to put... His family came back from the blip, and he has to put the Ronin stuff to bed, or else his family is in danger.
Yeah,
and they've really put that out in a way now, where when Kate ends up in Maya Lopez's apartment at the end, Maya Lopez has his it's not that Clint is in danger, it's that his family is in danger, and I'm like, oh, okay, I understand what they've set up now.
Yeah, I think it takes a little bit away from the Clint and Kate relationship in that sense, because before it was, he doesn't know Kate at all. This poor girl who's, the heart's in the right place, has gotten involved in things that she doesn't understand and is now in danger. And in the beginning, he is helping her because it's the right thing to do, and he's trying to be a good person. Whereas, this, I'm not saying it's bad, but I think it takes away from that in the sense that it's about his family and about him having closure and about him keeping his family safe, and it's not really about Kate.
No, but it's still about Kate. It can be both. And it is about both.
Sure.
Right? In the phone call with his wife, and we should get through, what happens in the episode, but in the phone call with his wife, he expressly makes it about Kate. And in the scene with Kate's mom, he expressly makes it about keeping her safe. I think that what's interesting about this episode to me and about Clint opening up to Kate is that the concept of protecting his family and protecting Kate are not dissimilar concepts to him now. And I think that he is starting to see Kate, and we see it in the way that he's treating her. He is seeing Kate as a closer relationship than almost any other in his life now, right? Mm-hmm. He is trusting her with information that is literally detrimental to his family.
I mean, yeah, I just thought he was drunk.
No, he makes the choice to tell her about the Ronin situation, and that he is Ronin.
Well, no, she guesses it.
Yeah, but he volunteers that information to her. Mm-hmm. And he volunteers a lot more information than that to her. In doing so, he is obliquely saying that he is welcoming her into his circle. So much so that it really does feel like a betrayal to her at the end when he pushes her away.
Definitely. He's like, oh, now it's real. Whereas, I don't know.
But we understand as an audience, right? He cannot lose Kate. Because he is starting to look at Kate the way he looked at Natasha. And he lost Natasha. And that is the trauma of his life, right? And losing Natasha has affected him in a way where he wants to volunteer information to Kate. He wants to teach her things. That the flicking the coin thing was beautiful.
Yeah.
He wants to let her in. But as soon as her life is on the line again and someone close to him could die again, he can't. He can't let it happen because when he sits down in that chair and he relives his moments with Natasha and that moment from Endgame, and that's what I mean about, like, this is setting up what this show is. The stakes of their relationship is the stake of how does Hawkeye allow anyone in ever again after losing Natasha? And that's the story that we're telling. And I think that is a more interesting story than, like, oh, there's a big bad guy. He's got a bomb. He's going to blow up New York City. No, this is a story about the emotional fight for Clint Barton's health and mental well-being. And that's a really cool story to tell in the wake of Endgame, where we saw this character taken to the absolute breaking point of his emotional stability, right? He starts that movie as Ronin. He watches his best friend die after she pulls him back from being the worst version of himself. And what happens to that man after that moment? You know what I mean? You went to the darkest part of your being. You got pulled back, and the person who pulled you back almost immediately sacrificed herself in front of you to save the universe.
Yeah.
What happens next for him? He has his family back, but that's not quite enough, right? He has to put this to bed, and he has to learn how to open up to people again. And Kate is really drawing that out of him. And Haley Steinfeld's performance is so good in doing that. But he can't go all the way yet because he can't see someone else die like Natasha.
Well, and Kate is an amateur. Like, she is in very real danger.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like it's completely irrational. But it is tough because, like, Kate wants it so bad. And you want it for her, right? Like, you want bigger and better things for her than being, like, a rich socialite who works at a, like,
her mom's company.
Security company. Yeah, you know. And she very clearly is, like, a hard worker. She has all these trophies and all these skills and such. And obviously, you know, that's where the story is going. But yeah, I think that Haley Steinfeld's performance really is pretty incredible.
She's incredible. Like, and Jeremy Renner crushed it this episode. Like, this was, I think he brought so much to especially the scene where he's opening up for the first time. Let's start at the beginning of the episode, though, because we start where last week ended. We're 7 minutes in. We're starting at the top now.
Sorry.
We got there. Jack DeQuain, Swordmaster, is holding a sword to Hawkeye's throat. The Ronin sword, yeah. Important. And they don't recognize each other, which is slightly disappointing to me. I was kind of hoping that it was going to be like
I thought there'd be something there.
Yeah, just because...
That wasn't just like, oh...
for those of you who don't know, in the comics, the character Jack DeQuain is one of the people who trains Hawkeye in his abilities. And so I was kind of hoping we were going to get something, but it's fine. I'm not upset about it. Then from there... we kind of cut to dinner.
Well, no, I mean, they're sitting
tea.
at a dinner table, but you know, they're like, so you're doing Avengers business. Because her mom is there as well. And the four of them are all seated.
I learned her name.
Nice. Thank you for that.
Be proud of me.
And, you know, Kate's obviously not telling them what's going on, and Hawkeye doesn't want to, like, pitch in. And it's this, like, very awkward conversation. Where Kate's like, yeah, I'm helping out. There's like a thing that we gotta do. And Eleanor is like, Hawkeye, can I see you out? Or Clint, or I don't know, whatever it is.
You know, really weird, like...
In a really weird aside scene.
I didn't mind the aside scene. I thought the aside scene was actually really good. I thought the, like, end of the conversation was weird, because...
It was, yeah.
I was like, oh, is Kate staying there? I guess she is. All right. Cool. I didn't understand what the rest of their night was going to be. Yeah.
It was just like kind of weird, but she takes him aside and is basically like, Kate is not a superhero and I can't lose her. Clint is like, yep, I hear ya. So I don't know. It was just kind of like, it's kind of odd the way that it was done. I don't know. It made me very suspicious.
See, that's why I don't think it was odd at all.
Oh, okay.
She wasn't asking Hawkeye to drop the case because of Kate. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Eleanor's a bad guy. Not a bad guy. Eleanor is tied up in all of this.
Yeah, there's something going on there.
Because we immediately get that moment where she's like, hey, it's Eleanor, call me back.
Yeah.
She's calling Kingpin to let Kingpin know that Hawkeye's on the case.
Yeah, which is the opposite of what he wants, because he doesn't want attention to it, right?
Do you think that the calm serenity with which Jack and Eleanor responded to Kate working with an Avenger was weird? Or is that just that, like, rich people are like, oh, of course my daughter's going to be a part of this. She's special.
Yeah, no, it was really weird.
I was like, y'all are...
I mean,
my mom would flip the table. My mother would have opinions on every single aspect of it. My mom would also ask way more questions.
Yeah, they did seem a little bit nonchalant about it. The only, like, justification I can think of is, oh, well, Kate's been obsessed with Hawkeye for half of her life, so maybe it kind of makes sense. But, like, having a celebrity that you look up to and then meeting them and fighting crime and being involved in an Avengers level, like aliens and magic, you know what I mean? Like, that's just kind of like next level. Yeah, they were very reserved about the whole situation in a way that was uncomfortable.
But they weren't even reserved. They seemed to be having a, like, jolly conversation. Like, they were like, ooh, Avengers?
Yeah.
Like, I love the, I think it's Tony Dalton is playing Jack Duquesne, right? I love his performance, but in that scene in particular, I was like, this man is deranged.
Yeah. And like in a lot of scenes, he seems like way too happy about every single thing, and it's very off-putting.
Intentionally, intentionally off-putting. Yeah. You're supposed to not trust him. The show is very clearly engineered for you to not trust him.
Everything is super, super, super suspicious, and like, you know, that's why like they're in love clearly because they're like of the same. What's the? There's a word for that.
I have no idea where you're going with this.
They're like of the same kin, but not like kin. That's the wrong word. They're of the same
ilk.
That sure, yeah.
In what way?
Well, they're definitely both shady. Like there's something going on there in a way that like
100%. Yeah,
you know, and Kate is very suspicious of him, whereas, you know, like she loves her mom, and when you're that close to somebody, I'm sure she either, you know, A, her mom's probably great at hiding it, but B, also, you know, there's
she would never assume that it's her mom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that.
Yeah, and then there's this like very like weird scene where they like are dead. First of all, Clint leaves, and it goes to a conversation where Kate is like lying on the bed, and they're having a conversation about her while staring at her lying there.
But the way it's shot is it's a shot of Kate, and you expect for the camera to pan like across a wall, and Kate is hearing them have a conversation in the other room, because they're saying like, oh yes, Kate has always been obsessed with Hawkeye, but instead the camera pulls back and reveals that Kate is like 3 feet from where they're sitting having this conversation. And I was like, are they looking, like, it literally looks like they're looking at Kate like this and being like, yeah, Kate, she's just always been so driven. And I was like, this is wildly uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was so weird.
She's present. Her eyes are open. It's not even like they're having a conversation above their sleeping daughter and they're being cute about it. She's aware of what they're saying. And they're having this conversation seemingly for the audience.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so weird. Well, and none of it was new information.
That's why I think it was for the... Like they were, like, recapping. They recapped episode 1 real quick.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Anyway, super odd. And then there was a weird, like, dance. They got up and did the dance.
The dance was cute.
It was fine.
But I appreciated the show taking a little bit of time to show that Jack and Eleanor's relationship is real. Because I think that I like that they complicate their villains. Here's the thing. Here's what I will say. I think that what they've done in the show Hawkeye so far is allow the villains to be like 3D people.
Yeah.
Who we're going to discover are involved in something really bad.
Yeah.
And whether or not they want to be involved, or if Kingpin has stuff on them, or whatever it is, right? Yeah. But when that reveal happens, I'm going to care more that Eleanor is on the bad side of this, because she feels like a real person.
Yeah.
And, despite my jokes about her being wealthy and, whatever, I think that what the show has done so well so far is make me go like, oh, like, these characters are fully fleshed out. Mm-hmm. And they haven't had a lot of screen time, but they feel real to me. And that is such an accomplishment on the part of the show, in my opinion.
The interpersonal relationships of this show have been its strongest point.
The same thing happens later when Hawkeye goes to meet with Cassie, right? And they have the conversation in the truck about him pulling Maya Lopez back from this revenge tour she's on against Ronan. And I really felt like they allowed Cassie to become like a real human, as opposed to just kind of the joke villain that the Tracksuit Mafia has been up until this point in the show. Cassie feels like he has his own individual wants and desires. He has his own goal for the end of the show in one scene that was just really well written. A quick dialogue between two guys in a truck that was, not overly complicated in terms of shot composition or anything like that. It was just really an acting scene that sold me on the fact that Cassie is a bad guy who's a part of a gang, but still has a love for Maya and a relationship to Maya that goes deeper than just, hey, we work together.
Yeah.
And they sold that really quickly. And now when we inevitably get a confrontation between them, because they started that confrontation in the first introduction, right? Where he pulls her back. Then they're setting it up here. Eventually, we're going to get a conversation between those two characters. And that scene was written in a way where I'm going to care a lot about that confrontation. Because right now, I'm on Cassie's side. This gang member, I'm like, oh yeah, I want him to succeed. In the same way that Clint wants him to succeed, where he's like, I don't want anyone else to die.
Yeah.
Including Maya, including the bad people. We're seeing his character progression in his dialogue and in what he's after. And what he's after is just this to end, but no one to die in that process.
Yeah.
Which ties into the end of the show when Black Widow shows up. Yelena Belova. She looks freaking great.
Yeah.
Dressed as Splinter Cell. Literally. I was like, wow. Am I playing PlayStation right now? Like, why is Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell on my screen?
Oh my god.
The shot of her like looking over her shoulder is literally a box cover art of one of the Splinter Cell games.
Gotcha.
With the like green. I was like, this is so funny.
Yeah.
And I know that's probably just like a tactical goggle set that's a real thing, which is why it's in the video game. But I was like, that's Splinter. That's the cover of Splinter Cell. I've played this game before.
We should go back before we jump to the end.
Mm-hmm.
I think so they make you care about Kate's parents, and then
Jack and Eleanor are like, yeah, it's so good to be around family, and Kate perks up.
Yeah,
she's like,
Kate is like,
you know what, you're right.
Family.
Screw my family. I'm gonna go hang out with this dude I met 3 days ago.
Yeah, but they had the most like lovely chunk in the middle. Like they're
it's amazing.
Yeah. Kate brings over some movies after Clint tapes drinks to himself.
Mm-hmm. Very funny. Frozen daiquiris.
Yeah. That was a good bit. Comes over and is like, hey, it's the holidays. Like, let's hang out, I guess.
And it was funny to me that it was like the most. This is gonna be so much personal information to explain where I'm going with this, but I dated a girl who was Jewish and kept kosher, and then we broke up, and then years later we ended up living together, and for Christmas, her favorite thing to do was watch Christmas movies, and I was always kind of like, I don't know. I guess they're entertaining, but like I don't know what you get out of this because it's not your thing.
Yeah.
But she loved them, and we would watch Christmas movies together. And so Kate pulls out all the Christmas movies, and I was like, that it's such a like, it's just this interesting like meeting of like, there is something about the Christmas movie and honestly like Christmas decor and all that stuff that has transcended past like Christianity and become like,
oh yeah,
like so many of my Jewish friends in New York have Christmas trees. Just for the decoration of them.
Yeah.
And it's not even like about like Christmas is so much not even about Christ anymore. It's really about like
no, not at all.
I want to have a tree in my house.
And spend money.
Like we're gonna have a Christmas tree. I'm not like I'm an atheist, but we'll have a Christmas tree. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I just really loved it. She was like, let's do Christmas movies, and I was like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah. No, it was super duper sweet. And they get drunk and they get to know one another. Well, more so, Kate gets to know Clint better, I think.
Yeah, because she's already told him everything. She won't.
Yeah,
shut up.
she's kind of an open book and not super complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was really, really lovely. Like those emotional scenes are really, really well done in the show.
100%. And this was the best one so far, right?
Yeah.
Like, we saw so much bonding. He teaches her how to, like, knock someone out with a coin from 20 feet.
Yeah, that was super fun. Well done.
And, like, you know, that I turned to you in that montage, and I was like, this is what I wanted the whole show to be.
Yeah.
Because it was, when they marketed this as a Christmas show, I was like, oh, I want it to have, like, that, like, joyous Christmas bubbly energy. Yeah. And we got that in that scene.
Yeah, and it was really nice.
And then we also got that other thing that Christmas movies have, which is the turn to the emotional, when he opens up to her.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved that he opened up to her because of, the natural progression of them bonding throughout that scene allowed for him to open up to her and for it to not feel like it was to move the plot forward, but because it was motivated by his character.
Yeah, 100%.
And I thought the show, and this is why I say
organic.
this was the best episode so far, is this episode really allowed Clint to, like, really allowed us to see him. Mm-hmm. From a more intimate point of view than I think past episodes have.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we go LARPing again.
Yeah, then we find the LARPers.
And I have a question.
Yeah. So apparently the tracker arrow is in a evidence facility or something at one of the stations. And so Kate goes over to our LARPer friends. It's like, hey, so Hawkeye sent me.
He did. He told her to go.
Yeah, I know. It was just kind of like a weird thing. Like,
I don't know why he didn't just
hi,
go himself.
Hawkeye sent me. He was doing other stuff. And she's like, one of you is a cop, right? Could you just break into the evidence facility and get these arrows back? Mm-hmm. And the cop's like, yeah, I can probably do that.
Like, so quickly. And I'm just like, have you ever met a first... I want to talk to the writers and be like, what in your life has led you to believe that first responders just break the law so willy-nilly?
Yeah. There was like, no... It was like, okay, I'll do this for you. What are you going to do for us?
Or is it just that, like, this group of LARPers is just filled with first responders who are so willing to break the law?
I don't know, but it's very odd.
It's such an odd perspective on, like, look, I know we're in this time where, like, there is a lot of anti-police sentiment, and, like, we're having this global conversation about our relationship with policing and how it should exist within our society and what that should look like moving forward to make it more equitable and to make the treatment of people better, right? Yeah. And I'm not saying anything about that conversation in this statement. I'm just... The way in which the firefighter stole from the fire he was fighting.
Yeah.
And now this police officer who's like, oh yeah, I can break evidence out of lockup for you. I'm like, what?
And they don't even know what they don't even have anything in mind that they want in return. It's just
They're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I can do that for you as long as you do something for me. I don't know what that is yet. I'll come up with something.
They're the only characters on this show that don't feel real.
Oh no,
because they're so convenient.
Yeah, very convenient and very like. I don't know. It's very, like, stereotypical, like, nerds in that sense, where they're just...
But like the Big Bang Theory version of nerds.
Yeah.
Where they're, like, socially inept.
Yeah. And as nerds, we're kind of like, huh.
It is odd for a show to...
That is so nerdy.
To make jokes about the people who are going to watch it the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when the police officer does somehow break into New York Police Department lockup and get arrows out.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Because that's just how that works. She can just go ask for them.
The biggest concern
she's so concerned about her bag.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, what are we doing? This isn't even a joke. Like, it wasn't funny. It wasn't a joke. It was just like...
It's just strange.
No, that's my bag. Then put the arrows in another bag. You're in an apartment.
They're in a house. Like, do you
not have a suitcase? Like...
Go get a freaking garbage bag. What?
The LARPers so far to me, in both instances, have been like, oh, this'll be fun. I think that the writer's room was like, oh, this will be fun. And both instances, they've been the worst parts of the show to me. And I hate saying that because I get what's going on.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, like, deride the actors because it's not like these actors are bringing the wrong energy. It's that the writing of those scenes just is so much about the show wanting to, like, not worry about it making sense. And I'm like, then why have the arrows in lockup at all, right? Like, why do that? Why create a problem that you need a convenient and, like, silly, honestly, way out of?
Yeah, it's very strange. And here's the thing: it's not even like they're trying to make the show more all ages and being a more, like, catered toward, like, kids humor. Because that's something that I could understand. You know, you've got a Christmas show with superheroes, right? But it's not even that. Like, it's not really that funny, but it's trying to be. It's just very odd.
Yeah, it is. It's like what I was gonna say is it's not even a joke the kids would understand.
No,
even explaining what LARPing is, I don't even know if I could explain to my mom what LARPing is. Like, it would take a minute.
People who run around and pretend to use magic and hit people with foam swords.
Yeah, but my mom would be like, "Oh, but that's just you all the time." Or she'd be like, "Oh, that's a child."
We haven't gone LARPing yet, unfortunately. So.
No. I've done, like, mini LARPing experiences at, like, cons and stuff, but I haven't actually been, like, LARPing.
We'll
Although I would absolutely love to.
That would be very fun.
Let's Ren fair it up. No, I didn't like that scene. No. I just felt it was, and Hawkeye's energy in that scene was my energy too, where he's like, "What is happening?
Just give me the bag."
And I was like, "Same, boo."
Yeah, it was. Same. Yeah, it was odd. So that was weird. And then moving on.
So I have a question. This is now the next day.
Yeah.
Kate at this point is this. So Hawkeye, when they go to bed, Hawkeye says, "You have a big day tomorrow."
Yeah.
And I assumed that was because that Kate was going to have to talk to the police in the morning because she promised she would come in and talk to the police in the morning.
Oh.
Has the show forgotten about that plot point? Because she just straight up doesn't show up for the police conversation.
Yeah. No, there's no way they've forgotten about that because they put it in the recap.
I guess.
But here's the thing. If they hadn't put it in the recap, I would have forgotten.
I immediately was like, oh yeah, because she has to talk to the police in the morning. She said she was going to. And then in the night scene, she's like, we have to get the cops off our tails. The one way to not get the cops off your tails is to tell them you're going to be somewhere and then not show up.
Yeah, that's suspicious.
I didn't understand.
I forgot about that, yeah.
Yeah. I just am a little like, okay, well, we'll get to it, I guess. But, like, you've made yourself more suspicious by not showing up.
Yeah.
Because there should be, like, an APB out for, like, or maybe not. Maybe they're not trying to charge her with anything. But they do want to talk to her.
Yeah.
I was surprised they didn't call her all day to be like, hey, why didn't you show up?
Yeah.
What's going on here? It feels like the cops forgot about Kate Bishop for a day.
Yeah.
All that to say that this show kind of cuts to nighttime again. They leave the LARPers with the arrows, and suddenly it's dark. And they are staring at an apartment that Hawkeye's wife says the Rolex is in because the tracker can apparently tell you which apartment in a building something's in.
Yeah, that makes no sense to me. There are so many apartments stacked right on top of one another.
Well, yeah, and you would have to triangulate height, which would involve you having to have some sort of... it doesn't matter. This is a universe where Iron Man's suit comes out of his chest piece. Whatever. But I was a little bit like, oh, wow, you can, like, just make it a brownstone. Like, why add in...
this big apartment complex? Yeah.
And it was so that we could have the fight across the street. And, like, it ended up being a really great fight. But Hawkeye's like, I'm going to climb up in there. And then Kate's like, give me a second. And then he turns around. She's not there. And then he looks down, and 6 stories down, she is walking across the street.
She flew.
In, like, 4 seconds.
She flew. That is the only explanation.
But this happens multiple... like, I like the final fight scene, but this happens multiple times. Kate can somehow get up and down New York's buildings faster than anyone alive. Because in the fight, Hawkeye drops her into the lights, and she's fine. But then she immediately is up the stairs again. And I was like, do you know how long?
6 seconds later.
And also, okay, if you're in a New York City building and it is less than 6 stories, it doesn't have an elevator, usually. There are very few 6-story or lower buildings that have elevators if they're in older neighborhoods, right? Which that building was. She climbed 6 flights of stairs in a matter of moments.
She flew.
And is completely, like, not out of breath. She's fine.
Yeah.
It happens. It just happens twice, so close together that I was like, why not? Why make it like this?
Yeah, it was very strange.
You can write the show.
Yeah, you could fix that. I don't know. It sucks because those kinds of things about the fight scene had me going like, wait, what is happening? But then there were some shots that were so incredible. You know, like Kate goes over there. She finds the Rolex. Oh, there's like blinking alarms.
It's
that
on
she
a
shoots.
shelf.
Yeah, it's just sitting on a
It's
shelf.
like it's the MacGuffin of the whole show, and it's just out.
Just laying there. I was like, oh, well, okay, that was easy.
Next to a notebook with Hawkeye's family.
Hawkeye, Clint, wife,
but written
children.
in the biggest, like, I was like, wow, this.
And that's all that's on the page.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like she was like doing research and actually like filling stuff out. It was just, no, we need the audience to know that this is here.
But there's also, my other favorite part about it is that there's only ages for the 2 eldest children. It's like son, daughter with the ages, and then it's like son, Nate, with no age. And I was like,
oh, I didn't see it.
Why? Why would you write this out?
And yeah, why
it wasn't enough information for me to be like, that's an important note to take.
And it wasn't even at a desk or anything.
It was haphazardly on a shelf.
Yeah, it like not where you would normally write. Yeah, this like piece of paper and Rolex were just like randomly on like a shelf somewhere. It's so strange. And then and then obviously Maya shows up and beats up Kate a little bit. Kate gets the zipline over with her bow, while Clint
shoots the zipline.
Clint shoots the zipline because he is getting attacked, but
by Splinter Cell.
He thinks is Maya, and he's like, "No, Maya's here." And Kate's like, "No, Maya's here." And
well, then who am I fighting? And the audience is like, "We know.
Yeah.
We saw the post-credit scene."
Yeah, literally. So Kate throws her bow over the zip line, and wait.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Did she unstring her bow?
No. The string is on the bow. It's going sideways. In the shot, you can see the string.
What do you mean
So the bow is perpendicular with the ground, and so it's like arch first, and then the string, and it's riding that way. And that's why, because the string is on the bow, she stops in the middle, because it's creating too much. It's too much, I think is why she stopped in the middle.
Wait, I'm sorry. No. Her bow is going across, and she's holding it like this.
Yes,
which
but
means the string would be here and would be in the way.
She's holding it, like, in the middle, near the front.
Why does where she's holding it matter?
Because the string is back here.
You mean she's keeping it flipped up, but it's long and flat. Your hands you would not be able to hold on to that.
Well, no, but the bow wouldn't be able to fall because the string is there. So the bow would stay strapped, but it would put pressure on the string.
Okay, or you could slide off to either side.
No, because her hands are in the middle. She's not holding way out. She's holding in the middle. So the string is going between her hands, and she's got gloves on.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, I'm just telling you what happened. I don't...
Anyways, she gets stuck in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Yelena Belova conveniently grabs onto the zip line, so she's able to get the rest of the way.
Question.
There.
How did Maya get across?
No idea. She also flew.
I guess.
Or ziplined.
She just is suddenly on the rooftop, and I was like, what the hell just happened?
Maybe she ziplined over with something.
Maybe? But, like... There's a lot of... I had so many questions about how people got places in this episode.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
It was a little silly. Which is why I'm like... I know you said you thought it was the best episode. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that.
See, I will forgive the, like, up and down stairs stuff if the fight choreography is really fun and, like, good.
Which it was.
And the fight choreography was great. There was one shot that was, like, a pan shot through all 4 of the people in the fight. Mm-hmm. And in the moment, I literally turned around, I was like, that looked amazing, right?
Yeah.
There was stuff in this fight that I thought was really interesting. When the moment Clint realizes that there is a Black Widow there.
Yeah.
And his, like, you see Jeremy Renner change in that moment. And he sells it so well, so much so that like he foreshadows that he's gonna send Kate away in that moment where he's like, he kind of like steadies himself, and I was like, oh, like,
and he's
Clint
like,
acknowledges that it gets real in that moment,
yeah,
in such a cool way, and I was like, the stakes of a Black Widow to him. He knows what that means, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he knows better than anyone what that means.
Yeah.
And so that moment to me, this whole episode could have been trash. And if that moment was still there, I probably would have liked it. Just because, for me, for the thesis statement of the show and what we're saying about Hawkeye, where Clint's at, and all of that stuff, the way that Jeremy Renner played Clint seeing a Black Widow was everything I wanted it to be. It was so real to that character and to the experience that I have as a fan, knowing the backstory of this character and his relationship with Natasha and what he knows about the other Black Widows, probably as her like former partner and friend. I just was like, that is so well thought out and so grounded in Clint Barton in a way that I'm so, at the first couple episodes of the show, I was honestly a little worried that Clint was going to get lost in introducing Kate, and that this was going to be Kate's show.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have minded too much because I think Haley Steinfeld is doing a really wonderful job.
Yeah.
But I came into the show really interested in where Clint is at post Endgame, right? Because we saw a huge emotionally traumatic thing happen to him, and I'm satisfied by the show because they are leaning into that. And they are not allowing Hawkeye to just move on from Endgame. They're making him live in it and process it and move on from it. And that's what I wanted this show to be. So I'm really happy right now that this episode gave me what I was hoping to get out of the show as a whole.
Yeah. Okay. I think that is completely valid. Those are the kind of things that just irk me and end up taking away from the good stuff that you're putting out there. Like, I'm like, oh, there's so much good here. Like, why do you gotta be lazy with the other stuff?
Well, but this goes back to a longer conversation you and I have been having across spoiler chats and streams and whatnot about my theory that there are two kinds of people who watch content, right? Or shows, or I need to stop calling it content, but it's what it is. It's a Disney Plus show.
Yeah.
There are people who watch things for the story, the literal story of them, and then there are people who watch them for the thematic storytelling of them. And I am such a thematic storytelling driven human, and you are much more literally driven in the way that we process things.
Yeah.
And neither of those is right or wrong.
Yeah, because those are the kind of things that will immediately detract and take me out of it. Like, they stick out to me. It's like a beautifully painted wall with like a scratch on it, and I can't stop looking at that scratch. And when you have something that's well done, there's many instances of this, especially for me personally, where you give me something wonderful, but there's some aspect of it that's just kind of lazily done, like thrown together for the sake of making everything else work, and I don't like that. I think if you are making this level, this quality of show, of movie, of whatever it is, you have the best people working on it. And I always think that those oversights are frustrating.
Whereas on the flip side, I will immediately forgive those scratches if I see a thematic underpinning that pulls at me emotionally, right? And, it goes back to the Game of Thrones season 8 of it all, where, I really like the 8th season of Game of Thrones because I feel like there is a thematic arc to that season that emotionally really pulled at me. And I know that a lot of people don't feel the same way that I do, but I'm not sitting here being like, you have to like it.
Yeah.
I am so open to people not liking it. I'm 100% okay with that, right? I am the first person to say that there are things that I like that I know that other people don't like. And that's just, or that I don't like, that I know that people like. And that's okay.
Yeah.
My point in saying that is I think that this is one of those subjective things where Hawkeye, weirdly, the Christmas show, which I thought was going to be the most pleasing everybody kind of show, I think might end up being more divisive than we initially thought. Because
I think so.
I'm starting to see that this is a very thematic, emotional, like the subtext really matters more than the text of the show in a lot of ways. And I don't know how much that's going to satisfy people. When some of the literal stuff that I'm forgiving, because I'm like, oh, whatever. It's funny to joke about her going up and down really quick, but like, I don't really care if the emotions of the moment are on point, which I think they are.
Yeah.
And that's just where I'm at.
I don't know. For me, I look at that and I'm like, oh yeah, the actors are doing their best and pulling their weight, and the writers are like taking a coffee break.
In this case, it's not really the writers, right? It's
yes, not the writers.
This would be the
the. I mean, this
camera?
would be.
I don't know who. No, it would be the editor in this case.
Well,
because the writer didn't like sit down and go, and then Kate teleports to the bottom of the building.
No.
You know what
you're
I mean?
right. You're right, and that is unfair of me to say. That one is definitely a misstep on multiple levels, because if the editor is not given footage to get people to where they need to be, then that falls into either script writing or directing or whoever is staging combat and things like that. And it's a bunch of people that you can't be like, this person, I have their fucking number and I'm just gonna rag on them. It's movies and shows, especially of this scale, are the work and dedication of so many incredible people, and there are things that fall through the cracks.
But I don't know if it's falling through the cracks. I think it is an intentional choice of them being like, look, the other option is it takes her 15 minutes to get up there, and they don't want to deal with that, so they're just like, she's up there.
Right.
If the audience cares about it, they care about it, but it doesn't change the show on a real level. Right?
Yeah, I guess it. Yeah.
I think that it is the desire for the show to be 40 minutes long, or 42 minutes long, or whatever.
I think that those kind of things are definitely more detrimental in content that's grounded in reality, whereas this is a Marvel superhero fantasy
Hawkeye shot an arrow that was the size of a spaceship into a bridge in New York City, and the show has not referenced it since, because apparently it wasn't a big enough deal. That is the most shocking thing about the show. They shot an arrow, and it landed the size of a spaceship on a bridge. I couldn't tell which one.
Yeah, did they break the bridge?
I don't know. Did the arrow shrink? They never
know.
address what happens to the giant arrow.
Yeah, that's
it must have
weird.
Shrunk.
It has to have been, and now he has it back because it was inevitable. I don't know. Yeah, very strange. I don't know. I'm not saying I did not like this episode. I just don't know if it was my favorite, because there's some really amazing stuff in it, but there's some other things that I'm like, I love this episode. I just really want to know what I want to find out that Kate's mom and Jack are up to something. I need that reveal to happen. So please, next week, Disney, if you could give me that, I appreciate it.
Well, we have 2 more episodes.
Yeah.
So probably next week, so that we can tie it all together in the finale.
Yeah, it might be at the very end.
Here's my question for you, as you check your phone again.
Sorry, it's Gary's birthday, and he's about to do his eulogies.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have to go watch a Twitch stream, and then I have to go play Among Us on that Twitch stream. But my question for you is, do you think the LARPers factor into the finale somehow?
They're gonna have to.
It's gonna be part of the big final fight, and I'm gonna be like, Clint, why are you putting all these civilians in danger?
Yeah, it's gonna be. I honestly hope they just leave them out of it at this point. I'm like, I don't.
They won't. The other question: who do you think the Rolex belongs to?
Jack.
Why?
Because they're in the very first episode. He makes a big deal out of his watch in the auction.
But why would Jack's? Why? No, but Clint said that it would break his friend's cover.
Break his friend's cover? What do you mean?
Yeah, when they're talking about the Rolex, he's like, I have to get the Rolex back. He tells Kate, I have to get the Rolex back because it can break my friend's cover.
I mean, I don't know what that's about, but that's the reason I think it's Jack, is because they made a big deal of his watch in episode 1. That's the only evidence I have for that.
What if
they do know each
Jack
other.
and Clint pretended not to know each other, but Jack is undercover for Clint against Kate's mom?
That would be very complicated, but I could see them doing that, yeah.
Whoa!
Well, I don't know. That's the only thing. I remember it clear, in the auction. I'm pretty sure it was in the auction. Mm-hmm. But he makes a big. They show the watch, and that's the shot.
That would be wild, though. I don't think it's him. I think it's going to be an allusion to someone from the comics. I think it's going to be an allusion to a new character.
Cool. Yeah, that's my guess. I really don't have any evidence for it other than what I have stated.
You just kind of broke my mind open a little bit there, though.
I can't wait to see what comes out of it. Of your mind. It's a good noggin.
It's not. God, it's weird in there. If you like this video, like and subscribe to the channel. If you don't, I understand. That's fine. Hit the dislike button. We will see your dislikes. You won't. And that's because YouTube doesn't like its own
doesn't like honesty.
Platform very much.
Yeah.
If you want to leave me comments below, please do. We can take it. And that algorithm got us hungry. We must feed her.
You can follow us over on Twitch. I'm over at twitch.tv/ClaristAcaris.
I'm over at twitch.tv/nerdynightly.
You can also support us over on patreon.com/nerdynightly or fanhouse.app/nerdynightly.
Both. Or both.
Yeah,
Don't
or
do
both.
both. It's the same thing on both. We post the same content on both. It's
Pretty
just to
much.
make it easier for
It's
people
whatever
who already have their account
platform
somewhere.
you like to use.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It's so complicated. We need to simplify our lives.
Yeah.
Should we just stop making content?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.
Do something nerdy tonight.
Bye.
Bye.